this going.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this morning. We are really excited to share with you about Gigworx. This is a concept that we started back in 2018, Bozeman, Montana, small town, but fairly forward thinking, and a lot of people who are looking to work on their terms, right? Whether it's the van life crowd, ski patrollers, or people starting their own business. People wanted a new way of working where they were in control. And that's where we started with Gigworx, with a tech-focused, tech-forward twist on staffing. We bring people on as W-2 employees of Gigworx, and they're able to connect with different local businesses through our mobile app. They decide when and where they work. There are no minimum hours. And it's created a really fun business for us. We get to work with the entire community, whether it's kids straight out of high school or established businesses like Albertsons, Marriott properties across the whole southwest of Montana here. We get to work with a ton of different people and help their businesses succeed and help people succeed personally as well. We've seen a ton of growth. It was tricky in the beginning, getting people to buy into this concept of working through an app, going out to new places and working with new people all the time. But we've done it, and we've gotten great buy-in from our community. And it's always amazing to me to see this now, where you just hear people talking about it. The word of mouth is doing our recruiting for us. It's doing a lot of our sales for us. We're seeing industry experts sharing Gigworx with other people who are struggling to find staff. And we're really excited to take this across the country, get some new franchisees to help us spread Gigworx into their community. Because wherever you go, I feel like you're seeing help wanted signs. And Gigworx is a way that we can solve those staffing pains and give our franchisees a really great business that they can be proud of. So tech makes it possible, but people make this successful. And John, can you go to the next slide?
You got it.
Thank you.
So obviously there are going to be some questions about, what makes Gigworx different from traditional staffing. Both of us have a long history in traditional staffing, both at the executive level and, starting out working at the desk level and working our way up. But we are distinctly different. But before we get into that and any other questions that come in, we want to make sure for y'all on the phone, for you consultants, there are things that you need to know about Gigworx and why we think that we would be a good partner for you in helping your franchise candidates achieve their life goals, both personally and professionally. We'll start with the fact that we have a strong item 19. It's getting even stronger. We cannot wait to renew our FDD and refile it for 2024 with 2023 numbers. Our constant average growth rate has been 89% since founding, and it's just continuing to grow. Also at the executive level, we have experience closing these deals. So even though Gigworx is new to franchising, we as a leadership team are not. Prior to coming to Gigworx, I was the Chief Operating Officer of Pride Staff, and I have personally been involved in helping both award and then support 70 plus franchise units. We know how important it is when you send a candidate to us that they are treated like gold, not only for your reputation, but for ours. And we have experience in getting these deals done. We also have, between Matt and I, 40 years of experience at respected staffing companies and franchisors. We grew up in and around staffing, both of us in a way, and it's what we do. So we have taken that knowledge of traditional staffing and put a twist on it to merge it with the gig economy. With you guys as well, it's also important to understand when a franchise candidate is talking to us, whether it's Matt or myself, we have experience working at every single role in the office. So the support they receive is not esoteric or theoretical in nature when we're having conversations with them. We've both done the recruiting. We've both done the sales. Matt built this thing from the ground up, and he'll get into that in a little bit about the advantage of having a franchise versus how he started it on his own. Additionally, our training and support is both online and written. So We've spent the last 12 months taking these processes that have worked so well and created this growth in Southwest Montana, and we documented it both through a deliverable online system as well as a written operations manual, and we have it broken down to all functional aspects within the office. We have a training manual on sales, recruiting, business management, leadership, etc. So all of these things are laid out and covered for the franchisee to be delivered in whatever way is best for them. The initial training is a hybrid of both online and remote learning. So we will be giving them information and videos to watch, and then we collaborate over a 2-week period and connect to cover the learns and ensure for knowledge retention. Lastly, we think for you, it's a completely unique and appealing model to present. Matt talked about it in the beginning, that we are looking at this way of work for employees in a completely different way than traditional staffing is. And it's an amazing merging of the gig economy and staffing, which Matt's going to get into. But we think that's special for you because within the IFPG inventory, we don't think that there is anything else like this, and we cannot wait for you to learn more about it. Matt?
Great. So I think this is the biggest kind of unique for us. You know, we're taking this traditional staffing of bringing people on as W-2 employees, really supporting our staff in the field and being able to work with brick and mortar businesses. You know, the gig economy is wildly popular, but it's really been focused around, driving people, delivering their food, renting out your garage for somebody to stay in. And traditional businesses have not been able to utilize it. And Gigworx has changed that. You know, we partner with traditional businesses. This is not some sort of Craigslist Connect sort of deal. Again, some of those brands that we talked about that are well known nationally have found a way to utilize contingent workforces, but not in a way that really attracted today's workers, the modern people that you want. Most of our staff, they don't identify as temps, and that helps deliver a much higher quality workforce. So, and that has turned into a great acceptance here in our hometown of Bozeman. We've seen an average growth rate of 89% every year over the last 5 years. 2023, as John Reed alluded to, has been one of our strongest years yet. We're really excited to get those financials out to everybody and to see what people in other markets are going to be able to do. Bozeman, I think, is just over 50,000, almost 60,000 people in population. There are some much larger, much more profitable markets just waiting to be uncovered out there. And I'm sure many of you see that when you go out to eat or you go to a hotel and you see those signs that, right, they're now hiring, or please be patient with the people that have shown up for work today. Those are opportunity signs for a Gigworx franchisee. It's really easy to go out there and to be able to target those opportunities. In addition, we have a great sales plan that we're going to be able to tee up with people through our CRM and sales platform. We're going to give them thousands of leads to go after to start getting their first clients. The recruiting, we have a great SOP and plan for that. You can bomb a market, and as I mentioned before, the word of mouth takes off and it really starts to snowball as your workforce grows. So when we start to think about those markets and where some good candidates would live and potentially open a Gigworx franchise, we are looking for secondary markets primarily. We're not looking for the major metroplexes. We may go outside of that a little bit, some of the kind of cottage communities to them. College towns, built-in workforce, also a little bit more progressive in people's view of work is another huge opportunity. We're looking for probably at least, we look at things in jobs, a minimum of 50,000 jobs. An easy way to kind of correlate that into population would be, upwards of 250,000 people. But most importantly, we want a growing community. We want a place that's on the rise, and that Gigworx can be a part of that. Bozeman, in some small part to one TV show we won't mention, has seen a huge boom in the last few years. And it's brought a lot of growth to our area economically and in terms of population. So we're going to look for other markets that are similar to that. I think for our franchisees, this is a great option. If you're looking and comparing us with some of the other franchises out there, it's a low cost of entry to get started. In addition, this is at its heart kind of a B2B play. It's white collar, it's tech forward. It's a great way to get into your own business. You can start out, I think, much less painfully than how I got going. I was banging on doors, working out of my basement to begin with, before I started to learn some of these lessons and moved into a co-work space. It was a great pairing. Again, that shared economy, shared office space, very kind of tech forward, the people I was working with, and also allows for you to look much more developed as an office, as a company when you're first getting started, and to be cost effective. So people can jump into a temporary space, they can welcome clients and staff there, and as you grow, you can start with one additional employee. If one of our franchise owners can start doing the sales and the community outreach to clients and have one other person help them with the recruiting, get the workforce side of things, they're going to see growth start very quickly. And when they're feeling a little uncertain, they have us to look to. We are going to be here for them. We're going to provide them training from over 40 years of industry experience, and in addition, these hard-learned lessons that we've done the first 5 years of Gigworx, our marketing, our sales. Another big distinction to know, and I know it scares people with employment and employment agencies, who are the field staff reporting to? And while our local franchisees are in charge of management, Gigworx as a franchisor runs all of the W-2 employees. So all of the field staff's payroll, all of that liability of having hundreds of these gig workers out in the field, that all rolls back up to John Reed and I. Our clients our franchisees are really focused on working with their local clients and staff, recruiting and sales, and making the day-to-day happen. I don't know as much about the franchising world as John Reed, but I do know that you can be successful with a single unit of Gigworx. You don't have to have multiple units within one market, and you don't have to jump back into the line, when somebody calls off or somebody up and quits on you. It's a great company, and it's been a lot of fun working with all these different businesses and all of our staff members and the different stories that they have.
No, thank you, Matt. So in terms of the ideal franchise candidate, when we were putting this together, we're like, oh my gosh, is this going to be like what everybody else needs? We don't know. But here's what we're looking for in the ideal franchise candidate. Someone with management, and it says it's and or sales experience. So they don't have to have a sales background. Some of the most successful people I've seen in the staffing industry have been accountants in their background. They just have to not be afraid of sales, as the second line mentions. This is not, SEO matters for sure, but this is a sales organization. Let's not get that confused. This is not a Starbucks where you hang a shingle and people come running. You have to market the business, and a lot of it is in direct B2B sales, but as Matt said, it's also in a lot of community involvement. So we are involved here in the Southwest Montana Building and Industry Association. We're involved in the Gallatin Valley HR Association. Essentially, we are joining the organizations where the buyers of our product and service go, and where they congregate, and where they get together as industry leaders. So you have to have people that are, again, not the typical salesperson as you picture them, just someone that has experience leading and growing a team, and someone that is not afraid of sales and believes in sales as something that's important, in addition to marketing, because as all of you know, those are two very distinct things that go hand in hand. We're looking for people that have between 110 to 150,000 in liquid capital to begin. Matt, hit on it. Our barrier to entry is extraordinarily low. Our franchise fee is $47,500. We do have a veterans discount available for sure. Some of the best franchisees that we've seen have been veterans and servicemen and women, exceptional franchisees. And yes, of course, we have a discount for that. We're looking for people that are a good conversationalist. So a lot of what we do, we mentioned, is done through networking, and it's through connecting with people. You can be an introvert in this business. You just have to, pretend like you're not when you're dealing with potential business clients as well as candidates. You're dealing with people all day long in our business. And if you don't like people, or the franchise candidate doesn't like people, or they can't carry on a conversation in a social setting, probably not going to be the best fit for us. But of course, like anything, they can hire that done if they hire an account manager who can go out and make those connections. But this is a people-driven business in addition to the technology. Matt says it all the time. We are a tech with touch company. We're looking for people that are self-directed, and we like to believe that all entrepreneurs, or everybody that wants to own a franchise, is self-directed. We've been doing this long enough here that we know that that's not always true. Sometimes people are looking to buy themselves a job. They're at the end of their career. Maybe they have spent 30 years with Procter and Gamble. Seen this in my experience. They were laid off, they received a nice package, and they basically wanted to find something to do for the next 5 or 10 years. That's not exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for people who want to build and grow, particularly as an emerging franchisor. We want people that are got that pioneering spirit, that Midwest ethos, that mountain ethic that we have here. People have that all over the country, whether it's East Coast or West Coast, but that's the background or the mindset that we're looking for. And then lastly, people that have a drive to build. We're looking for people who want to build something great, who arrive at the first target that they've set for themselves and say, okay, that's great, on to the next. Okay, that's great, on to the next. That's what we're looking for in our franchise candidates. One thing that we haven't touched on, and I should have in the IFPG section, is our fee or our commission for consultants is $30,500. So 2 important things to remember: $47,500 franchise fee, $30,500 to the franchise consultants. Obviously, that impacts everybody on this call. With that, I would like to turn it over to Matt to close us out, and then I think we have questions after that.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, I think we've hit on most of the brass tacks there about what it is we do. Something I haven't given a lot of attention to, and I should, that we're very proud of here, is this technology that we keep talking about. Gigworx provides our franchisees with our proprietary scheduling technology. This is a huge component of making this business viable and efficient. All of our field staff are connected through our mobile app. They build profiles, connect through their gigs. They've got a calendar there. They do all of their timekeeping. They can review clients. They can message, with the franchisor. And we're going to have support for our franchisees 7 days a week. That's a big part of it. If you're running hundreds of people who are out in the field, eventually they're going to need help. And we don't want to turn them just to a chat bot. We want to be there for them. On the flip side, our franchisees' clients also have access to the scheduling portal. It can be self-service. Now, user adoption is never that easy. You always have to kind of train and engage your clients and show them the value, but they're able to post their own shifts, review staff members, build polls of favorite workers, and message for support from Gigworx admins as well on the technical side. So once again, it's not going it alone. We are here for our franchisees every step along the way. We're very proud of this technology. It's something that we've honed over 5 years of being in the business, understanding the struggles, the pitfalls, and features and functionality that simply aren't needed. So it is a very useful, intuitive, and streamlined tool that we're going to be providing to our franchisees. If you're interested in seeing more about that, we're uploading some more kind of screenshots and demos to our IFPG profile. You can also go in there and find some more collateral about us, contact information. You can always reach out to myself or John Reed. It's just Matt or John Reed at gigworx.com. We also have a franchising portal email that'll be in the IFPG page. And yeah, we look forward to connecting with as many of you as possible over the next few weeks. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John Reed and Matt. We do have a bunch of questions for you guys, so let's jump into it. Are both company-owned locations in Bozeman?
So Bozeman was our focus on hospitality, construction, and light industry kind of fields. Those are not things that we're absolutely married to. It's just some of the driving forces within our economy. We're really open to work with any business that provides the right fit for our staff and helps the bottom line. The other unit that we had going was in Denver, Colorado, and we were doing healthcare staffing out of that as well. Healthcare will not be a part of what we're doing with Gigworx franchising moving forward. We are really focused on industries outside of healthcare.
Gotcha. And then can you explain the 37.5 gross margin royalty fee?
Yes, absolutely. So that's a little bit of a tricky one because I know most franchisors base their royalties on a percentage of revenue. And I think, a pretty common one is 8%. And that's right about where ours lands as well, if you're going to look at it as a percentage of revenue. But we don't do it as revenue because prices are not fixed in our business. So the franchise location will have a great deal of leeway in how they price the business. So what we base our split on is based on gross margin. And the way we define gross margin is you take the sale, the revenue, and then you subtract from that the direct cost of sales. That's just like, pretty straightforward finance. But for us, the direct cost of sales are the salary for the temporary employee that goes out, as well as the employment taxes and workers' compensation. So the cost of sending that person out, less subtracted from the revenue, what you're left over is the gross margin. And then that's what we share with the franchisee. So essentially, we're splitting the gross profit 62 and a half, 37 and a half. If you do the calculation and you base it on our average gross margin, what it is right now, it works out to about 8% of sales. So it's on par with what others do. We just base it on gross margin versus revenue.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then what are the states that you're not registered in?
Oh, good question. Matt, do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. So it's probably easier to state the states that we are registered in. We are registered in Indiana and we are registered in Wisconsin. Now, in terms of filing states, we are filed in every single state with the exception of South Dakota. That one's just a little bit more complicated. We haven't done that one yet. So in terms of if it requires filing, we're in. So Texas, Florida, Kentucky, we're good to go there. Utah, for example. In terms of registration states, we're good to go in Wisconsin and Indiana. We are open to others, but there are going to be some states that we are strategically staying away from. I mentioned I was the COO of Pride Staff for 15 years. We were headquartered in California, and I don't think this is news to anyone on the call. It's getting more and more litigious and much, much more difficult to function there, particularly the nature of our business, employment staffing. It's very, very onerous. So we will most likely not be going into states like California, Illinois, or New York, but that is a strategic decision that we've made. Outside of that, we are open to every state.
Gotcha. And then why not in large metro markets?
That's a good question. Oh, go ahead. Matt, do you want to take that one or do you want me to?
I'd be happy to jump in. I just think it's not that we are opposed to the entire, metroplex being off limits. We've just found that we can have, a better position for our brand and our market in some of the suburbs, and we can find places that are kind of around that. These secondary markets, I think we can really stand out as even more unique as a service, and our franchisees will be more successful ultimately. I also think you find more of our workforce in some of these surrounding areas, right? People who are starting their own business, people who are in school, people who are just looking for a side hustle and maybe have another job. It just seems to blend better with our target clients and staff. John Reed, anything you'd add to that as well?
No, I think you hit it right on the head, but I would just say to give some specific examples. So would we be interested in Austin, Texas? Yes, potentially, but we're more interested in Round Rock, which is a suburb. Or if you think about Houston, think about Conroe. Or if you think about Dallas, think about Frisco. You know, part of the metroplexes, but on the fringes and on the outside of them. It just also, it gives our franchisees more opportunity to make an immediate brand splash and impact when they go into a secondary market. Are we opposed to primary markets? No, but we want to make sure that everyone understands that we are wildly enthusiastic, in addition to that, about secondary and even tertiary markets. So we can be successful anywhere, and we will be successful everywhere. But when you're thinking about those markets, Manhattan does not interest us per se, or San Francisco or downtown Dallas. Could that be successful? Yes, but think more, like Matt said, on the suburbs.
Gotcha, thank you. And then can owners be semi-absentee or is it full-time owners only?
They can't, well, it's a good question. So do they need to be full-time? No. They can be semi-absentee. We are not looking for full-time absentee owners. We do need to have owners that have skin in the game. However, if they're willing to make that investment to bring on 2 full-time staff members, and the franchisee is involved, yes, we are certainly open to that. But they can't be absentee and have one person. As we mentioned earlier, they can open with 1 additional staff member to themselves. If they're going to have be semi-absentee, they have to have 2 full-time staff members. There have to be 2 people in the office, not physically, but 2 full-time employees at all times. If it's the franchisee, great. If they're semi-absentee, they'll need a second.
Got it. And then why is your royalty based on gross profit margin versus top line revenue? How is GPM determined?
I think we covered that one earlier, but I will add to it. If you look at any staffing franchise, whether it's Express or Pride Staff or At Work or any of the other ones, they all do it the same way. It's all based on gross margin, not revenue, because it's not like we're a franchise that sets the price for our franchisees. So, you know, we can't say for this particular service, it's going to be $250, for example, or if it's a pizza franchise, all combination pizzas are $24.99 for a large. That's not how we do it. If we did that, it would be easy to set it based on revenue. In our business, there are a lot of variable costs within a bill rate, the service rate that we charge a client, including workers' compensation, depending on the job that they're doing. So like Matt said, we work with Safeway, Albertsons, you know, all the Marriott properties currently. They have one work comp code, but we also work with construction sites where people are going out and they're doing debris cleanup. That's an entirely different workers' comp code, and it could increase the cost of sales by 10%, for example. So the franchisee has the ability to charge whatever markup they want, as long as it does not go below our minimums. So with that flexibility, if we split it based on sales, it would allow the franchisee to price it as low as possible, and then they still get the full benefit of the split on the revenue, where we do not. So we need to base it, because of that flexibility in pricing, we have to base it on gross profit. I know that's a little bit of a technical answer. We are more than happy to have a one-on-one call with anybody for further explanation. But like I said, I would refer to any other staffing franchise. That's how they do it as well.
Gotcha, thank you. And then do you have any franchisees yet?
We do
We are
not.
looking for our first.
Awesome. And then just a really nice compliment from Faizun Kamal. Fantastic presentation, wonderful brand you're building. So compliments to you guys. And then I have one
Excellent.
last question. Being that you have a corporate location in the Denver area surrounding surrounding areas available.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
again, you know, the healthcare component is not going to be part of what we're doing with Gigworx franchising, and so we're certainly open to talk about Colorado. It depends kind of on where. You know, I don't want to be back down on the 16th Street Mall again. Downtown is taking a turn, and there are definitely some new employment laws coming out this year. So we're happy to discuss it and kind of look at some of those different areas. But yes, it is open.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Well, those are all of our questions. Thank you both for a great presentation. If you have any closing comments you'd like to share, you can do that now.
Just thank you for everybody for joining this morning. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you to all the attendees who joined this call. And Happy New Year again. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.